All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mac podcast here on 1010XL's podcast platform, 1010XL.com, the 1010XL app, live on Facebook and shared all over podcast platforms and social media. Great to be here on a Tuesday inside the 1010XL podcast studios. A rainy day, no doubt about that. Never rainy on Catching Up with Tommy Mac. There's always something going on. Brought to you by my good friends at Team Tommy Mac, a group of businesses that I love promoting. And not just on the show and not just on social media, but out in the streets with my incredible business development skills that I have figured out over the years with a great network of people. So we've got a new one to announce today, Freedom Finance. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Going to talk a little Olympics, not too much, but man, I'm bitten by the bug. I mean, I sure am. We've been watching. It's like that's all we do, and it's an exciting time without question. The Jags, of course, off today. But had a pretty good fired up and tempers flaring practice yesterday. Love hearing that. We'll talk about that aggressive style of play, the swagger, if you will, which I'm a big fan of. Take a look around the National Football League very briefly. And just looking forward to watching the Jags take on the Kansas City Chiefs. These next couple of weeks are going to be very interesting. KC, then Tampa for practice, and Tampa for the game. Going to be a great couple, probably 10 to 12 days. We're going to find out a lot about our Jaguars. Before we get into it all, let's welcome in Grammage. Grammage, good morning to you, buddy.
Preseason game week, man.
How about it? It's back, finally.
We've made it.
I know.
Do you hit a point where you start to miss it? Like for just football in general?
Me as a player or me as just a fan?
Not as a player, like current you.
Yeah.
Do you hit a point like mid-July, something like that, where you're like, man, I wish there was football on this weekend? Or are you kind of like, it'll get here when it gets here?
Well, look, the Olympics have helped.
That's definitely true.
You know what I mean? They really have helped.
Having the Olympics all of August is like, once the Olympics pretty much conclude, the regular season,
we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that helps. But with the Olympics not being here, I think, you get kind of, I don't know, here in Jacksonville, there's so much to do, so it's not like you run out of stuff to do. Living out by the beach, you can always go to the beach, that kind of stuff. But I get the itch more than I miss it. You know what I mean? Because it's almost a year-round thing now. If you go to the Super Bowl, it's pretty much year-round. You may get a month off before you start back with the off-season training. And then you get your 5 weeks off. It's a 10-month out of 12-month job. So I don't know. I think the dog days of July can carry on, can stretch a little bit where you get that boredom. But I know as a player, those days go by extremely fast, and you wish you were back at them midway through camp. I've really liked camp so far. Now, I haven't been out a couple of days. I'm going tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't go to the Saturday scrimmage at the stadium. I'm glad you fans went out there and got to witness all that. Of course, yesterday and the day before they got after it. Look, tempers flare. I love it, but there is a line. I mean, where is the line? And my line stretches because I like swagger as long as we back it up. You know what I mean? Look, I know this sounds crazy. Well, maybe it doesn't. Let me ask you this. So I have one of my regrets in my college football career was we were playing Penn State my fifth year, okay? And we were undefeated. Like, we were going into Penn State 4-0. We'd beaten Michigan State. We killed Northwestern, killed Rutgers. I forget who the third team was. But anyway, we were doing great. Defense doing great, all this stuff. Anyway, we were playing Penn State. We ended up beating Penn State, but first time in like 17 years up in Happy Valley. But their quarterback, I forget his name. He was number 9. He's rolling out. It's early first quarter, and they're kind of around midfield. And I'm running to chase him towards the sideline because he's trying to run out of bounds. And I could have drilled him. I mean, it would have been out of bounds. It would have been like a step at least. It might have been, I don't think it would have been 2, but it would have been close. It would have been a step at least. But the reason why I regret it, and Coughlin would have killed me, he'd been very mad at me, but it would have set a great tone. And I might have knocked him out. I mean, I might have hit him that hard that he might not have been affected by that, but I didn't. I held up, and the ref thanked me for holding up. I'll never forget that. The ref says, thank you for not hitting him. And I was like, man, I think I should have hit him, but I didn't. But so my point is that swag, that those early, you don't want penalties, I understand, but if you do have penalties for being a little aggressive, you want them early. Really early in the game, get them out of the way, and then, hey, then we got to settle down. But I like the swag, but there is a line. Like, you can't have too much. Right? You get penalties. You can't have costly penalties, but you want that swag. So when I hear Buster Brown, Monteric Brown light up Gabe and like stand over, I'm like, all right, I like that, right? It's okay. I mean, you can't taunt. You got to be careful on that. I like Christian Kirk coming off the sideline without his helmet on. Come on, Captain Kirk. You've been injured. You got to keep your helmet on in these kind of situations. You never know. These young guys, they don't know. They might swing a helmet at you for all you know, or a punch, and you're not seeing it coming because they don't know any better. But anyway, I like the feistiness, but you got to find that line, right? And look, what's Ryan Nielsen teaching? Aggressive, physical play, especially from his safeties and corners. You know, you kind of get it now, Grammage, when he was talking about, for him, it starts with his corners, right? That tight, physical type coverage that you got to earn every inch in the passing game with. And then if I can bring heat on top of that, now we got something cooking. So I think it's great. I mean, first of all, and I know there are people who are like, well, the injuries there's going to be injuries when you're physical in practice. You don't want them obviously serious, and you do have to find that balance. But you can't have both. You can't. You gotta, in my opinion, you gotta bang it out early in camp. You gotta bang it out during the week, and then once Sunday comes, it's guns ablazing. I'm not even thinking, and I'm already conditioned for the pounding. It's not going to affect me one way or the other. You got to go through it. So we wanted the physicality. Doug's talking physicality all over the Doug Peterson all over the offseason. What are we getting? We're getting a physical ball club. And I'll tell you what, we noticed from the defensive side, but every time I see Brandon Scherf, I'm telling you, he looks like he's, I don't want to say rejuvenated, because it wasn't like he had a horrible year last year, but you could tell he just didn't seem that aggressive, didn't seem like the animal that he was, coming from the Redskins, and that he was up there for a long time. I feel like that's back. I feel like the way he's attacking these blocks, I feel like the way look, man, you saw his nose. I mean, it was busted up good. He wiped it off, put his helmet, and the next day they were full pads again. He didn't miss. I know it's a nose. You got to play with it. But, you ever break your nose or hurt your nose and then have to get hit again, with your head? It hurts. You go, but he overcomes that and shows what? Hey, man, I'm tough. It's a tough game. I got to be tough. And he's playing tough. And I tell you what, man, I hope he has a very healthy year. You never know as you get older. And it's not like, major stuff, just dings can really affect you. Shoulder sprains, elbow sprains, ankle sprains. Remember last year, was it the opening game? He had that nasty ankle. Remember he came off for a play. They retaped it, and then he continued to play. So we know he's tough in that regard. But that physicality, man, I think the players are taking it to heart. It's good to have. It's good to have that. And every level, I love swagger. I really do. I don't mind a little trash talk. I don't. As long as you back it up, you can talk all you want if you're on my team. And you think back into the great defenses in the NFL that have had swagger over the years. You know the difference. You know it. I mean, it looks great to me, like ready to go right off the bat,
You can't find me a great defense in the history of the NFL that didn't have some swag.
That didn't have at least.
You can't find me one.
No,
you can't find me.
You're right.
You can't find me a great, and I'm talking great defenses that didn't have a safety or a corner that was swag, ready to come hit you, a linebacker that was going to wreak havoc, some D linemen.
And we haven't had that since what? Maybe 2018? We didn't have a good year, one-loss record. Our defense was
since
pretty
the
good
Ramsey, Boye, Calais era, they have not had that type of...
Right, so it's great that it's back. It feels like it's back. I want to see more. I want to see that translate into a game. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. I hope he's healthy enough to play. As Jordan Jefferson, I can't wait to see Mason Smith in live action. I can't wait. I think this young man's got a lot of potential. He's big boy that can move, and he's got attitude. He is not afraid at all. Not that any of them are. I don't mean it like that, but it's go time to him all the time, it feels like. Jefferson, I want to see. And I know Hamilton's had a good camp, so let's see it in a game as well.
I was going to say, to your Mason Smith point, you just took the words right out of my mouth. The attitude, the aggression. It seems like his temper's a little shorter than maybe which is great.
Absolutely.
Because Josh Hines-Allen, one of the best defensive linemen in the league, one of the best edge rushers in the league. Trayvon Walker, I think, is going to take a huge step. Eric Armstead, his resume speaks for itself. Those guys are all fantastic. Those guys aren't necessarily like talkers, confrontational guys. Right. Mason Smith kind of seems that way to help bring that D-line a little bit of edge. So you have all that talent, and then you bring it a little bit of edge, and you piss them off a little bit. Now I'm excited.
Well, and he's got the defensive backs backing him up, because they're aggressive kind of play. And look, let's be honest. It's been, and I have been to every single practice. I've missed a few of them, but been to a lot of them. The coverage has been really tight. The windows have been really small. Not all the time, but a good bit of the time. And I'm sure the receiver's getting frustrated after a while, right? And then you get lit up. And Cisco's got 3 picks, 1 off each QB. I'm sure you're a little ticked off if you're a wide receiver. Like, come on, man. They're going to make plays against us, but we got to make our plays too. So it's good, though. That's good. That's part of the camp grit. You know what I mean? That's part of where you're building this stuff up. Like, so when you're ready to take the regular season, you're a ball of fire. I mean, you've been through camp. You've been through all the stresses, all the physicality, all that stuff, and now you're all balled up, ready to go out into the regular season and take it to somebody else. That's what's exciting. That's why this, even though it's preseason, this is exciting to see where we're at. Now the question is the Swiftie is Taylor showing up? What's the deal? Preseason, she wouldn't show up. KC, right? Come on,
Probably
man.
Not. But...
She ain't coming to Jacksonville. Man, what a bummer. See her perform somewhere. Maybe she'll make a surprise appearance. Are we on national TV? No, we're not.
I don't think so.
Probably not. She needs a bigger thing than that. But I mean, look, I look forward to seeing Mahomes, Kelsey, they've got that. Supposedly that Xavier Worthy's making plays for him. Who knows? Camp. Look, every team has the highlights of camp. It's great. That's what they're doing, man. They're promoting. It's fine. I'm not going to bash our team for promoting our team.
This time last year, it looked like Calvin Ridley was going to go for 2,000 yards and win Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. And they're saying good stuff about him up at Tennessee. Nobody wants to hear that, including me. But I tell you, if Will Levis comes to fruition, they've got a lot of weapons now.
We knew that they'd say good stuff about him right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like here. There's encouraging, positive things.
Right.
But until they're playing ball when it matters against somebody else, all this is conjecture. I will say, though, and I think you're probably going to agree with me, something that's extremely encouraging is, in my opinion, from being out there and seeing things, and I wasn't out there the other day when there was the scuffle. I guess that was yesterday.
Yep.
But obviously heard about it like we've said and everything. This training camp, they clearly, Doug Peterson and the coaching staff clearly have seen that their team has not been physically tough enough. And they have clearly changed some things this camp and made an effort to drastically change that. Yep. And that's really encouraging.
You see it.
I was worried.
I see it already.
I was a little bit worried that they were going to say, hey, we're still 9-8, like, business as usual, still kind of the same normal thing they've done the last 2 years in camp, a little bit softer than they maybe have to be or whatever. They're pushing the pad limit. They're pushing the physicality limit much harder this camp. If it results in a couple of guys out for a couple of weeks, whatever, to me, that's cost of doing business to have a physical, tough team, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, think about the great teams in the league. They have great defenses, or at least very good. Even KC. I mean, look at how their defense. Now, maybe statistically throughout the year, they're not top 5, but man, when it's go time and it's ready to really buckle down, they show up, or it showed up big time. You see defenses that they'll they make a difference. You need to have it. You can't just have great skill positions on offense and an okay line and an okay defense. No, you need a badass offensive line that's ready to kick everybody's ass, and you need a defense that's physical and swarming and that pisses the offense off because they're so just all over the place. They can't catch a break against them because they're suffocating and they're getting after it. So you got to have it all. And I don't think anyone should be surprised based on what we've heard all off season. And I'm happy because I've been calling for it. I mean, it's been, at least in my opinion, the past 2 years prior to this year, their I don't want to say Achilles heel, their kryptonite was when a physical team came in and started punching them in the mouth. They didn't respond the way they needed to respond. So this year, I think it's going to be different. I think you can see it already on the O-line and the D-line. And like we said, the DBs, they are absolutely having a good camp collectively. And there's going to be some tough decisions to be made at that position, who to keep, who not to keep. But I tell you, the young guys look good. Darby looks good. They're making plays.
Darby's had a really nice camp.
Yeah, they knew what they were going to get out of him, right? That in your face, man-to-man press coverage, which Ryan Nielsen is wanting his corners to play. So it's it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing. Again, you got to keep it in perspective today because we want to see him out on the field against real live action. And again, that first game, you got to keep the preseason in perspective. I look for units more than points. You know what I mean? I don't care if we win one preseason game, but I do care how my first team offense and first team defense and selective guys that'll be coming in to make a difference, how they play.
How does the line look?
That's all I care about.
When Biggsby comes in, how does he look? That kind of thing.
So when they're ones against our ones and we do well, I'm like, that's awesome. When their ones kick our ones' asses and then we do better against their number twos, I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
That don't mean anything to me. That means you got work to do. So and then if you come back like third team wins, the winning doesn't mean any. As long as my first team, and there are, look, you've got guys coming off the bench that are very important. They've got to play well too. But that collectively, if they play well, even if it's for a few series, I'm happy, right? My offense goes down. First preseason game. My offense goes down. Click, 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 click. Touchdown. I may just be like, good job, fellas. Have the night off. Good for you.
You've earned it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously things are working. Maybe go out for another series, maybe not. You got 2 more games to work through more stuff to get ready for the regular season. So it's all about that. And then after that, it's evaluating what? Well, who are my backups going to be? Which is very important. I want my front guys. These are my starters. This is who I'm going in as my starting units week in and week out. But those backups that I'm going to need, whether it's coming off the bench for a D-line, getting in the rotation, short yardage guy, whatever it may be. Those are the guys that you got to have as well, right? That just in case something happens. Because the one thing I don't agree with, and I'll never agree with, is, well, he's a backup. No. You should be able to start in this league as a backup. You might not be a superstar. You might not be as good as the player in front of you, but you should be able to hold your own in a starting capacity as long as they need you to as a backup in this league. I've never been, well, he's a backup, it's okay. No, those backups, they got to be ready to start. And we saw last year on the O-line, we really needed guys to step up and take charge when the starters went down.
This isn't college where there's 90 to 100 guys on a roster, and there's guys that are on the roster that that unless absolute disaster happens, they're never going to see the field.
Yep.
In the NFL, with the exception of maybe the backup quarterback, if the starter stays healthy all season,
yep,
every other player on the team is going to see the field at some point, be it special teams, be it rotationally somehow. Like, with 53 guys is not a ton to field a football team.
Correct.
So all 53, you need to be able to see being on the field and contributing. Right. And these are professionals. You're paying them.
Well, think about it. If I have 10 O-linemen that I keep on the active roster,
yeah,
do I not feel they all can start?
Yeah. They should.
I should. Maybe not be my starter, but they could start if I need them to.
Which makes
me feel great. Like, I don't have to worry about that.
Which makes Doug's injury excuses this offseason that much more aggravating, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That when he, before the combine, when he was the whole excuse about the offensive line, well, the starting five only played one game together, that was the most disappointed I had been in him as a coach since he took the job.
Yeah.
Now, the way camp, we'll see when games get played. That's what matters. But the way camp has been, the more physical it's been, has kind of helped me forget that a little bit and made me feel a little bit better about it. It's highly possible that he's just saying things publicly and then behind closed doors he's holding people more accountable, which is totally fine with me. We'll see in September. But to your point, I mean, how many offensive lines are going to play 17 games and all 5 starters are going to play all? That's not going to happen.
Right. You may get 14 or 15, possibly.
I don't want to speak anything into existence here. Knock on wood. Hope everybody stays healthy. But guys, the sample size of Cam Robinson does not show he's going to play all 17 games.
Right.
The sample size of Brandon Sheriff shows that he'll probably play them all, but he's going to have some nicks and bruises he's going to work through, and he's a tough SOB, and that's great. But he's probably not going to be 100% out there. Ezra had an injury. It's not going to happen that all 5 guys are going to be 100% healthy.
Right. So my backup's got to hold down the fort.
Cole Van Lannon, Javon Foster, Walker Little. Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's all this. And by the way, I was going to say the whole excuse. The owner, Shad Khan, squashed all that, which I loved.
Great.
Which I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But the whole thing, I mean, you look at last year, we didn't go full pads to really the end of camp. We didn't go full speed tackling to the ground to the last practice of camp last year. This year, totally different. This year, what do? They go first day in camp. Now, granted, not pads, but we go right to the red zone. They didn't ease into it. They didn't ease in, hey, we're going to work on first down, we're going to work on short down, we're going to work on intermediate, we're going to work on the easier stuff, No, we're throwing you into the fire. This is a pressure-packed camp. And then what else? And then we're in pads early, and then we're hitting early, and then it's, it's tackling to the ground. It's full speed. This wasn't happening last year. It wasn't. So I love it. We'll see if it translates. I think it will. I think it'll make us a tougher team, which I think, and again, it's not, please don't misunderstand when I say tougher. It's not this. It's not fists fighting, wrestling, beating each other up. I'm not talking about that. It's being physical on the football field, especially when things aren't going your way. Like, even if you don't win the game, they walk away going, man, that's a physical team. That's tough, right? That's what I'm talking about. These guys individually, I know they're tough, but collectively, like being that kind of gritty, tough son of a bitch that is just going to play his ass off for 60 minutes, regardless of what's going on around him. That's a tough team.
Look at the 4 teams that made the AFC and NFC championship games this past year. Okay. Ravens, Chiefs, Lions, Niners. What do they all have in common?
Physical.
They all had particularly offensive defensive lines that were not going to be pushed around.
No, physical, without a doubt.
And we played a couple of them.
Yep.
And they pushed this team around.
They did.
And
that has to change. That has to change.
There are few rare exceptions. The Bengals in 2021 come to mind. That was not a great offensive line, but they were so talented, a receiver and everything. Yep. They made it work and went all the way to the Super Bowl. But 95+% of the time, if you're making a deep run in the playoffs, you've got an offensive and defensive line that will not be pushed around.
Yeah, you look at San Fran, everyone knows how talented they are weapon-wise, but deep down, they're a physical.
Correct.
Very physical team.
The reason those weapons are able to excel is because Shanahan has a great offense, and they win the trenches. Yep. They win up front so that McCaffrey can get going, so that Ayuk, who's going to be traded, can get going, so that Debo can get going. Kittle, Kittle, I mean, Kittle's as physical as it gets.
And their receivers blocking are physical. That's a physical team when your receivers are, and I think we have those dogs on our team. I know with Kirk and Ingram, they're not afraid to throw down at all when it comes to blocking when they need to. Well, not that we're counting on Kirk to block that much, but you know what I'm saying, down the field to spring guys loose. Brian Thomas Jr., we'll see. He makes plays. He's kind of quiet, which is fine by me. I don't really care if he has the swag yet or not. But, man, he can get down the field, and he's got a good sense for getting to the ball. So I think he's going to continue to grow. I think Gabe's going to have a good year. I think Kirk's going to have a monster year. I really do. I think he's set to really have a big-time year, man. There's nothing worse than being hurt. It just sucks so bad, and you can't wait to get back out there to help your team again. You know, it's like, I don't even know how you explain it emotionally, but it really is. Like when you get hurt, you feel like not only let yourself down, you let your team, you let everyone down, even if it's not your fault. You feel that way anyway. And it's just a bummer. You know, you're on IR, you're not contributing, there's nothing you could do, but then you get off, then you off season, then you get healthy, then you're like, I'm ready, I can't wait. Like the juices are just like through the roof, you know? And Kirk's gonna, knock on wood, he stays healthy this year. He's gonna have a big year, and he's the glue to that whole offense. As far as that passing game goes. Looking around the NFL, you mentioned Brandon Ayuk. You're hearing trade rumors. Browns, Pats, and did I see Jags?
Third highest odds.
I saw that. 650. I don't know how those odds. I guess plus means less or closer, or what does that mean?
So
minus means it's more likely to happen, and plus less likely. So they were plus 650. I saw.
They're plus 650. So if you bet $100,
you get 750.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Well, 650 that you'd win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because the 100 you've already. Right. I got you.
But
you get your 100 back.
Yeah, that's right. So you'd win an additional 650. Yeah.
I got you. I mean, so is he okay? Let's just hypothetical. They make the trade. Okay. Is he the X? He's my number one right off the bat.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr., you just back him up.
Brian Thomas Jr. is my Z.
So Gabe gets pushed down.
Yeah, I think so. Well, maybe not early.
Right, I don't know.
Gabe's probably more game ready right now, but might be kind of a slow as the season goes along. You get more reps for Brian Thomas, you get less reps for Gabe. I also think they're going to have a lot of 4 and 5 receiver sets. If you have that much talent at receiver, you're going to throw the ball.
Well, think about this: Ayuk, Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe, and Kirk all on one whole line.
And by the way, there's a number 17 ready to do some damage as well. That'd be a scary sight for a defense.
So that's 5.
And I think Ayuk is also the perfect fit for Trevor.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Ridley was just like, Ridley's a good receiver, but him struggling to know what to do all the time.
Yeah.
Not always being in the right spot necessarily, timing being off. That type of stuff is, I think, tough for Trevor to overcome.
Yep.
Because he himself struggles to push things when they're not there, not throw it away necessarily. So those things can result in mistakes that didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
Versus, I think a guy like Ayuk, always in the right spot, route technician, like that's what Kirk is in the slot.
Yeah.
And he's been the best paired NFL receiver for Trevor so far in his career.
Yeah.
I think Ayuk is basically the Christian Kirk of outside receivers.
Okay.
In terms of a matchup nightmare, always in the right spot.
Yep.
Like that type
good
of
hands, tough guy.
Right.
Likes to block.
Right.
I'd be all for it. I mean, I think Gabe could be really utilized in a big way. But of course, you want that speed out there with Brian Thomas Jr. And Gabe can run too. Don't get me wrong. Well, we'll see what happens. It looks like the Browns and the Pats are leading the charge. But, man, I don't know.
That feels like a Browns signing.
It kind of does. But, man, they better hope Watson, really turns a corner. You know what I mean?
I agree, but
who else do they have? Heineke?
I don't know who their backup is.
Who is their backup?
Because Flacco's gone.
Flacco's gone, right. I don't know. But they better be right,
They better be right, but I would say because of what they paid him and everything, they're in a position where they have to exhaust all possible resources to make it work for him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I were their GM, I would do it.
I would do it too. Who do they got? Amari Cooper. They just gave him some new money, right? Made sure he's going to get $20 million this year.
You got Njoku.
Great player.
Chubb will be back.
Yep, Chubb.
That's an offense that should be able to score points if Watson is anything close to 2019 Watson.
Yeah. I don't see why he wouldn't be. I mean, unless he's still distracted,
I just
off
think
the field. But it's not like your skills. I mean, his arm shouldn't have got weaker. He shouldn't have lost any athletic ability.
Yeah.
It's only, 5 years? It's not that much, especially when he hasn't really done much,
Right. You do factor in, though, he it was really before that, but he's had some injuries.
No, I know.
So I think he, maybe those are starting to wear on him as he ages a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been one of the biggest falls from grace I can remember in the NFL.
Well, I mean, it really just makes the Browns look stupid for giving them $250 million in guaranteed money. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I remember when they were doing that, I was like, what? I don't know about that. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was one of the darlings in the NFL at the time, and he was a very good player. He should be a good player. I don't know why he wouldn't be, but, if things get in the way, off the field, or inside that locker room, you never know. Who knows? But they're going to win it with defense. That's a tough team. Stefanski's got himself a tough physical team, which is great. We'll see about that. All right, Harrison Butker becomes a top-paid kicker in the NFL. 4-year, $25.6 million extension with $17.75 million in guaranteed money. That's what kickers bring to the table. They're weapons, and when a homie breaks down, throw in Butker and boom, smell you later. Get 3 at least,
Butker is what we talked about the other day on the podcast last week. If you're making 55 and 60, great.
Right.
50 and in, I need you to not miss.
Right.
Butker doesn't miss.
He don't miss.
45, 40 yards, bad weather, good weather, prime time, rivalry, it don't matter. He does not miss those automatic kicks.
I still call Hollis Money Mike every time I see him, and I don't see him a lot, but when I see him, I'm like, hey, Money. Why? Because he was money. It was like he barely missed, and he could kick it from afar. It wasn't like it was all short stuff. He had a big leg, and he was one of the cool kickers, right? He'd go out and drink beers with you down at Lynch's at the beach, so it wasn't like he was, some kickers are a little strange. They like being alone and stuff, which is fine, whatever. Just make the kicks for all I care. But that's why I call money, because you got to make those kicks. And when you have a kicker like that, remember how I talk about like when you have a quarterback, how you want to fight for him and protect him and win for him and all that stuff. When you got a kicker like that, kind of same, not the same level, but kind of the same thing. Like, man, we got a great kicker. Things break down, no problem. Money, go get him money.
You think the Ravens don't feel that way about Justin Tucker?
Yeah, right.
Of course
think about it.
They do anything for that guy.
Absolutely, and should, because he's a real weapon. He's like 55 and in.
I mean, he's
all
the
day
best.
Long, but that's 60 plus.
He's the best kicker in the history of the NFL.
No, absolutely.
So, and it's not really a debate. Yeah.
All right, we're going to get into some Jaguar talk. What we're going to look forward to coming up this Saturday against the Kansas City Chiefs. But before I do, I want to remind you about Team Tommy Mac, a great group of businesses that are always there for you when you need them. And they're good people. And if they weren't, they wouldn't be on my team, but they are on my team, and I'm proud to endorse and promote each and every one of them. Chris Lucero's Bail Bonds, the number one name in the bail game, gets you out of the clink in a blink. Don't get in trouble, but if you do, call my friend Chris and his team, 904-822-2245. Carpet Man Flooring, LVP, not just LVP, all types of flooring, highest quality, lowest prices, 2 great warehouses to walk through, one on Wells Road in Orange Park and one on St. John's Bluff Road right near the Craig Airfield at Atlantic Boulevard. Go to carpetmanflooring.com. J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. Saw him in the hood just the other day. Took a video, put it up there on Facebook and other social media. They were taking down a shed and getting rid of all the stuff in the shed, trying to refurbish as much as they can. They give it back to veteran families. Veteran-owned and operated, J-Dog is. 844-GET-J-Dog. That's D-O-G, dog, not your Georgia dogs, but your normal dogs, I guess you would say. 844-GET-J-Dog. They've got a great hauling business as well for all you contractors, all you building homes, GCs, what have you. They'll come and pick it up. They'll fill it up. You fill it up, they'll pick it up and give you a great rate. Always done with integrity and trust, like our military. No doubt about that. Azar Sausage Company, I tell you what, I had something special last week from the Azar brothers. They gave me flop meat. Do you ever hear of flop meat, Grammage? Flop meat's from the cattle, and it was absolutely incredible. Kind of like a flank steak. It's near that area. Hardly any fat, just absolutely nuts. But I get my sausage from Azar. You can too, as long as you go to Winn-Dixie and other grocers. They'll take care of you. But most of the sausage you have in this city is from the boys at Azar Sausage. Code Ninja is a great place for your child to learn all about technology, all about coding, all about security, all about building games and having fun and being well-rounded, too. 4 great locations for you to choose from: Ponte Vedra, Bay Meadows, Fleming Island, and down at World Golf Village. Make sure you check them out. Family Tradition Specialty Foods, home of Coconut Joe's. Hot sauce is always on our table, in our fridge, to the table. Pretty much every dinner. Kids love them. Wife loves it. I love the sriracha. Looking forward to the new ones coming out. Make sure you put in the discount code bar, pound Team Tommy Mac, and get a BOGO free by visiting Family Tradition Specialty Foods.com. Michael Nichols, State Farm Agency, been my agent for over 20 years. He should have a shot at being yours too. For home or business, he takes care of it all. Him and his team available for you 24/7. Auto, home, life, and supplemental health. 777-6888. That's 904-777-6888 for Michael Nichols, State Farm Agency. Newmark Phoenix Realty Group. My friends over at Newmark at Phoenix Realty. You've known them for over 20 years as well. All your commercial real estate needs taken care of, soup to nuts, from development, financing, from investments. We're talking industrial, we're talking office, retail. They are a great brokerage house. Their development as well. They take care of you. They're one of the best. They've been doing it forever. Check them out. Give them a call at 904-399-5222 or phoenixrealty.net. Salt Air Inn and Suites. I posted a little video there. I was over there the other day. Showed you their outdoor area with that really cool little pool. 4 blocks from the beach. Great place to rinse off and cool off. At that pool out in the courtyard there at Salt Air Inn and Suites. Right there on Atlantic Boulevard, 4 blocks from the beach. Concierge service as well. And brand new to Team Tommy Mac, I'd like to welcome Freedom Finance. That's right. Courtney Myers is the founder and CEO, and it's all about fractional CFO services, and he can handle it all for you. If you're a mid-sized company looking to grow, you need some help on the financial aspect of your business, check out Freedom Finance. Great to have all of them on board, and of course, being part of the 1010 XL Studio families. All right, I mentioned already, coming up this Saturday against the Chiefs. I do want to see Mason Smith. I want to get a good look at this young man. Like Grammage was saying earlier, he's got swag, he's got attitude, and he is a mountain of a human being with tremendous skill. I also want to see Jordan Jefferson. Now, he's been banged up a little. I think he'll be okay for the game, but I want to see these 2 young men. I think they have a chance to really play significant roles in this defensive line, especially Smith, because he's been out there more. I'd like to see Jefferson out there more to make that statement, but Mason Smith, I'll tell you what, man, that guy's making his presence felt. And, of course, Devon Hamilton having a good camp. If he's healthy, great. Show it. Let's see it. I've been a big fan of his since day one. But those 3 guys, I definitely want to see how they perform. I know Josh Allen's going to be fine. I know Trayvon's going to be fine. I want to see that interior defensive line, especially those young guys and the draft picks. Grammage, how about you? You got anyone you're looking forward to watching on Saturday night, even if it's briefly, just to see how they're looking going into 2024?
Tank Bigsby.
Oh, good one. Good call. Why? You go.
Because Tank Bigsby last season, I felt like had a good preseason. I felt really strongly about being a good RB2 under Travis Etienne.
Yep.
Being very strong to come give Etienne a spell.
Yep.
And then we all know what happened when the regular season started. He fumbled the first game, had that weird play where he didn't pick up the ball. Remember that whole thing? And
got stuffed a few times.
Yeah, and it just felt like I think his confidence was shaken early, and he just never really recovered. After that, it just kind of felt like bad things just followed him. Drop balls, fumbles.
Yep.
He had the dropped catch to turn into an interception later on in the season. Just issues plagued him the whole season, so his confidence was killed. He's had a great camp. He's been very encouraging so far.
Yep.
He's one of the guys that when the pads are on and you want to hear pads popping, he's one of the guys initiating some pad popping. Yep. He's been catching the ball better, just been encouraged by him this camp. I would like to see that translate to the field. Give me another strong preseason, get your confidence back, and let's roll when the season starts.
Yeah, that's a good call. Tank, I agree. He's run with a lot more confidence this camp. He looks a little bigger, like more muscular, right? He's maybe put on a few pounds, good weight. Looks quick, looks decisive. Like when he's cutting, he's very decisive and very sudden with those cuts, which we know are very important. I want to see a couple vets, too. I want to see Mitch Morse and his effectiveness. So I'll look at the interior of, if Ezra plays with Mitch Morse and Brandon Sheriff. I want to just see how that looks, right? And I want to see Devin Lloyd. We're talking Devin Lloyd putting on weight, maybe being more of a Mike backer, but being a thumper, being a physical presence. I think he's got a chance to be a superstar in this league. I think he's got the tools to be that. I don't know if it's at Mike linebacker, but it's at linebacker, of course. And look, his past 2 years have been good. I want to see it's time for him to really be that veteran, the guy you can count on, that's in the right spot all the time, knows the coverages, is not guess, none of that. Just playing ball and making plays. So I'm looking forward to seeing both of those guys, Mitch Morse and Devin Lloyd, against KC. Even if it's for a little bit, it's okay. It's okay. I don't need a lot, this Saturday. You got to be careful with that first game. But I'm glad Doug's playing his starters. That drove me nuts. Was it last year or the year before? Where did Trevor play at all? Or wasn't going to play at all, or barely played? Or
I think it was last preseason. He didn't play very much.
Yeah, it was like, what are we doing, man? You got to get out there and get used to playing. But that'll be interesting. I want to see the DBs. They've got it going on right now. They got it going on. I like it. I like my defensive backfield to have swag. Bees had swag. Double D had swag. Fernando Bryan had swag. Those guys, they played the game the right way, and they had that swag, man. Ultra belief in themselves and backing it up every single time, No question about that. Looking forward to continue watching the 2024 Olympics. It's funny. I mentioned the pole vault. I'm like, this pole vault's awesome. I think people were I was referring to the guy that got stopped by the bar because his parts got in the way. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the dude from Sweden who broke the record.
Man, he's crazy.
20 feet. Holy cow. It was unbelievable. We watched it live. Me and my daughter, Kelsey. I was like, you got to watch this. And he's
a machine.
That was incredible.
It felt like watching him, it felt like it didn't matter how high they kept raising the bar. He was just going to clear it. It didn't even look hard. It looked just.
I know. It
looked like he was just like, this was like, for all the marbles on the Olympics, it felt like he was just like warming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some athletes just make things look so easy.
Yeah.
That's how he made it look. I wanted to ask you one last thing about the preseason game.
Yeah, go ahead.
We just talked about like guys that we know are going to contribute this season that we want to see. What about some sleepers to maybe make the team, like some like second half type of guys? Because there's two I'm really interested to see.
Okay, who you got?
I would be kind of surprised if Mac Jones does not end up being the backup, but I am curious to just see how the second half gets played out. How many snaps and how long is Mac in the game versus Beathard? Because Beathard's taken a lot of snaps with the 2s and 3s and whatever. So I'm a little bit curious to see how that goes. And then I think Joshua Cephas is gunning for Elijah Cooks' job. For his roster spot that Cooks had last year. Mm-hmm. Cephas had a really good camp. I don't see a world where they keep both of those guys because you got to keep Duvernay.
Yep.
The second half, I think both those guys will play a lot in the second half of all three preseason games.
Yep.
I'm curious how that play. If Cephas is making play after play after play, Elijah Cooks is probably not going to be on the 53-man. I don't believe.
Well, that's where the rubber meets the road. They have a cutoff. They keep a certain amount of guys, and if they're the last two, who's been the most impressive, And you're right, he has been. Cephas has been. Elijah's made some plays. I've always thought Elijah since he's been here, like he could be a weapon, but we'll see. That'll be interesting. I want to see Walker Little. Now, he's not a second half guy, but he'll probably play into the third quarter, I would think. Just want to see if he's changed at all. You can't really tell in practice yet. But we're going to need him. Like you said, Cam's not going to be available. On that note, I want to see Mason Foster. I when I first saw Mason Foster, I thought, what's that?
Javon Foster.
Mason Foster. Javon Foster. When I first saw Javon, I was like, man, he's not very big. I mean, he's a big guy, but he wasn't like, ultra big left tackle. But then when they put the pads on, he started playing a lot bigger, and he's really good with his feet. I mean, he's really good. And so I want to see him, see if he's ready to do anything. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do with him? Are you going to unseat Cam and Walker? That would be something, but I don't see that happening unless he's just that good. I don't think he's shown that yet in camp, but maybe he's a gamer. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes guys, the games, the switch just comes on, and you're like, whoa, where's that been? You know, like, I know he's been making plays, but now he's like, you know, really making plays. I want to see number 58. I don't have his name. He's from Appalachian State, linebacker. He's flashed in camp. He's a rookie.
Okay.
You'll know his name when you see him. Ventrell, I wish to see, but I doubt he'll play. Maybe he'll play with the club. I don't know. He's got I'd play with a broken hand. It's only a bone. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like, you know, you got ligaments and all that kind of stuff, I don't think, to worry about. If it's just a cracked bone, put me in. Now, if it's all the way through and I can't do it, that's different. But it's just a crack, I don't know. I think I'm playing, especially upper extremity, you know, especially linebacker. I mean, you're not going to catch any passes probably, but you can still make tackles with it. So I'd like to see him play. I would love to see Cooper Hodges if he's available, but I don't think he's going to be ready. He's lost some luster. You know, it's funny. He had all this, you know, steam, you know, with him last year, but this year just feels a little less, you know. Maybe it's because he's not doing the cartwheels. I don't know. But I do want to see him in action. I think they do as well.
Andrew Parker. App State.
That's him, Parker, yeah. He can really run, and he's a thumper. He's not a really big guy, but big enough, and I think he can make some plays. And, look, I think Caleb Johnson's a heck of a player, too. I think he's had a good camp, you know.
Those are two guys as well. I'd say probably two bodies competing for one spot.
You think Muma and Johnson are competing for a spot? Or they're both on the team?
I think Muma is definitely on the team, and I think Johnson and Park, if
they just gave Johnson a new deal.
They did?
Smaller, yeah. It was
then I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was right before camp, I think.
Okay, then I stand corrected.
It's like a 2-year extension. Wasn't like
Muma, I think, is for sure on the team.
Yeah.
Still not that long ago. He's a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
Although I didn't love the pick, but I think the politics.
The politics of it, yeah.
And then Ventrell will definitely be on the team, even though he has a broken hand right now.
Yeah. How many backers you keep? So Caleb, Muma, Kittrell, and then the 2 starters. It's 5.
Yeah, I think 5. Because this team, since Doug has been here, because they've in the past had Agnew and now they have Duvernay, and Parker Washington as well. They've always gone heavy on receivers.
Yeah.
So other positions, I think you keep less bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna add at one position, you got to subtract somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think linebackers probably.
You know, it's funny. I know we talked. You asked about second half stuff, but what are we looking at Trev? Take the team down and score a touchdown?
Yes.
No struggling.
No.
I mean, look, that comes with the territory now with the big deal, right? I'm sorry, but it does. Like, there shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It should all be positive stuff. Like, he's turned the corner. Like, you can see a difference. You know, it's funny. We put out 1010 put out a video of Ingram making a one-handed catch on the sideline, and the ball was in the worst spot it could be.
It was behind him. I watched that. Ingram ran into me when on the play.
I was like, that's 6 the other way probably, because you gotta put that ball on the outside. That stuff concerns me with Trevor. This ball placement's got to be, you know, spot on. So, I mean, look, it's kind of funny. I was saying earlier in camp, I'm like, you know, when he was struggling, like, you know, people are like, you know, do you criticize it? Do you not? I mean, he's the guy regardless, right? I mean, it's unless something happens to him physically, knock on wood, I don't want anything to happen to him, but he's the guy. We're living and dying by number 16, regardless of whatever we think. You know what I mean? I think he's going to have a good year. I'm expecting a big year. So Saturday, what I'm expecting is Trev goes down, leads the first-team offense down the field, and I don't care who they play. Second team, first team, they probably won't play a lot of their start. I don't know. Maybe they will. But whoever they put out there, our starting offense goes down. within their time, whether it's 3 series, 2 series, 1 series, 4 series, I don't care. You're scoring a touchdown. Touchdown drive. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for 4 or a touchdown drive every possession. The first game, though, I would expect. So I don't want to see this, 3 and out, kick a field goal. That's a failure in my book. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too hard on him, but not after $250 million or whatever it is. You know what I mean? What did he sign for again? What was the deal? $375? $275. I forget. Whatever. It's a lot of money.
But it's like $55 a year.
I expect a lot.
$250, I think, but it's like $55 a year.
Yeah. Good for him. Well, now you got to go earn it and show that you deserve that deal, and I think you will. It should be a fun time. All right, I'll bring you a training camp report tomorrow. I will be out there tomorrow. Of course, we'll look forward to being back here on Friday after a Jaguars Today appearance. We'll do catching up again. Horse's Mouth, we're going to do a couple things, Coach Campbell and whatnot. Hope you enjoy the Olympics. I will. My family has, and we will continue to do that. And hope you have a great Suck It Up Tuesday, man. Get to work. It's not that bad. Then once, 5 o'clock hits and you're done and, crack open something and enjoy a Tuesday evening. Hopefully you're all okay out there from Hurricane Debbie. She was a wet one. There's no doubt about that. But hopefully not too bad. We were fine out at the beach overall, I think. So just a lot of rain. So stay safe out there. Be cool. We'll see you next time right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mag. Peace and love, everybody.